downforce, no data collection, no push to pass, no slick tires, no ABS or traction control, no grip. Will you strap yourself in a metal tub with 500 horsepower? Just you, hanging on for dear life, 500 miles, over 200 miles an hour, inches from an unforgiving concrete wall. Do you have big balls?
Watkins Glen International, nicknamed The Glen, is a racetrack located in the town of Dix, just southwest of the village of Watkins Glen, New York. It has been well known around the world as the home of the Formula One United States Grand Prix, which it hosted for 20 consecutive years in the 60s and 70s. The circuit is known as the Mecca of North American road racing and is a very popular venue among fans and drivers. The Watkins Glen International Racecourse has undergone several changes over the years, with 5 general layouts widely recognized over its history. Currently, 2 distinct layouts are used. The boot layout, the long course 11 turns 5.43 kilometers in length, and the NASCAR layout, short course 8 turns 3.95 kilometers in length. Welcome to Watkins Glen. Welcome to eFormulaSeries. Welcome to Watkins Glen in New York State, USA, for the 6th round of the eFormulaSeries Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. We are still in the final moments of practice here in upstate New York, with Fabio Do Carmo currently running the quickest lap of the drivers here. We have several changes in the roster here.
Today we have Suthmari Zabolks joining the Tulip Racing team as teammate to Danny Hoekstra. So he will be defending the orange, black, and white colors of the Dutch-American Tulip Racing team as the second driver alongside Danny Hoekstra, who we saw having a podium finish last last race, I should say, 2 weeks ago. And we have two new faces on the rostrum here. Dmitry Bobilev is a new driver, and we are being joined by a female driver, Cassie Knight from Illinois, and she is currently in 12th position here in practice with a 1:33.85 as quickest lap. And then, of course, we have our regulars like Paul Elbrink, Bruno Canovas, Cedric Biel, and Luke Groom here from the United States. We currently have 14 drivers on track. Not the biggest field we've ever had, but it's a little bit more than last time. And we are here for the sixth round in this series, and we're going to be racing for 36 laps here at Watkins Glen. In a few moments, we'll be going into qualifying. Qualifying is open, meaning that all the drivers will be sharing the track. Ooh, and there we see Luke Groom having an issue in the chicane there. All the drivers will be sharing the track, and that obviously makes it a little bit tougher for the quicker guys. They can be held up every once in a while by somebody that isn't as quick. But we'll have to see how that pans out, obviously. And qualifying is starting as we speak. Paul Elbrink, the first guy on the move here from pit lane. And while these guys are on their outlap, let's go and take a look quickly at the point standings as we have them currently. It is Fabio Do Carmo that won last race, and with Elbrink having some misfortune there, it is Do Carmo that has taken over the lead in the championship with 76 points. Elbrink is second with 66, and Alvarez is third with 60 points. Alvarez not able to be here today, and I believe he wasn't there either last race. Lubomir Moric is fourth with 43 points, and then it's Manuel Domingo in fifth place with 37 points, and Manuel is also not able to be here today. Danny Hoekstra, our Dutch driver, is in sixth place with 32 points, and he scored some good points last time with a podium finish. And Cedric Biel is seventh with 28. Cedric is here today defending his position. And Dave Guild from England, our friend, is in 8th place with 23 points. Then it's Bruno Canovas with 19. And in 10th spot we have Reinaldo Augusto with 18 points. That is your current standings. That is how we are getting started in our championship today. And we are looking at the qualifying drivers. Currently, you can see on the bottom of your screen, you will see three drivers that are out there on the track. The purple sectors will indicate that they are faster than anybody else in that sector. The green color will indicate that that's their fastest personal sector, and a yellow sector will show you that it is not their quickest sector. So that'll give you a small indication of what it looks like for these guys on qualifying. We are looking at Paul Elbrink, currently looking to be on his first flying lap, and as you can tell, it is pretty busy on the track. Elbrink being followed by, let me see, that is, we're still looking at Paul Elbrink. That is Patrick Letouvet that is following him. And behind Letouvet, it is Luke Groom following. We have Suthmari Zabolks in the second Tulip Racing machine out on track. And there is Danny Hoekstra. And as you can see, the guys are looking to be the favorites here. Is Docarmo and Morich currently running the best sectors of the session. Lubomir Morich is the first one posting a qualifying time with 1:30.156, and he is already being overtaken by Fabio Docarmo, last time's winner. He runs a very good lap time there with a 1:30.05. Cedric Beal puts in the third time, and it's Paul Ilbrink putting in the fourth. Luke Groom fifth, and Patrick Letouvet has posted the sixth time. And let's take a look at one of our new drivers here, Cassie Knight from Illinois. She is out on her first lap currently, and we're glad to have her along and mix up the field a little bit. We'll get to see how she does on her first outing here in the Formula Renault 3.5. I can tell you from my own experience, this is by far an easy car to drive. So that's also going to make us keep an eye on Dmitry Bobilev, also one of the new drivers here, and we're going to see how he's doing. Once again, this is not an easy thing to run around these tracks. It's it can be very snappy on exit of the turns on the throttle. iRacing has updated the tire model somewhat and has increased the grip levels just a little bit. But when you are driving one of these cars on track, you are obviously searching for a compromise between downforce and speed. And you've got a lot of power at your disposal on these lightweight, high downforce machines, and it is very easy to overdo it on turn exit. Paul Ilbrink moved himself up into the second position here in qualifying with a 1:30.03, and Lubomir Morich has improved his time to a 1:29.98. So he is the first driver here that is diving underneath the 1:30 mark. As you know, in this series, the drivers have unlimited tires at their disposal. They have a fuel capacity limit of 50%, and during the race, they will have to make a fuel stop, which technically they would not be able to make it without that fuel stop, but even if they did, they are required to make at least one pit stop during the race. And it is up to them what they do with that pit stop. They do not have anything like fast repairs or something like that. This is the real thing. If you mess up your car, you're going to have to wait for repairs in the pits or deal with it as you go. The 50% fuel cap will give the drivers the ability to run about 65-70% of the race. So they do have somewhat of a fuel window within which they can choose to pit early, pit a little bit later, and depending on how a race evolves, obviously that could help a driver. The tires, depending on the temperature on the track and the driving style, obviously the tires should be able to last all race, but a lot of the drivers will change tires just in order to get fresh rubber and not be surprised by tire wear if it's not necessary. They don't have to do the whole thing on one set of tires, so why would they? Alright, so we have 14 drivers on track currently. The only driver that has not yet set a lap time is Dave Guild. And we have the 13th time is for Reinaldo Augusto. Just getting started, obviously. And our new drivers, Dmitry Bobilev, is in 12th position with a 1:37.11. I'm sorry, that's not his best. That was his last. His best is a 1:35.16. So he has a ways to go, and as we speak, we are seeing Cassie Knight jump up into 9th position with a 1:31.75, and that still puts her ahead of Danny Hoekstra. Let's go find Danny Hoekstra. Danny is here out on the track currently, and let's keep an eye on if we can see how his qualifying is progressing here. A lot of history here in Watkins Glen. As you heard in the introduction, the Formula One has driven here plenty of times. 20 years in the 60s and 70s. Unfortunately, Watkins Glen is also the place where Jackie Stewart's protege, Francois Sever, lost his life in 1973, which aided to the decision of Stewart to quit racing after that third world title that he achieved there. And that's just a little bit of trivia. That's the time when I started getting interested in the racing and followed the Formula One stars. One of my favorites was James Hunt, and you can see some of that history in the movie Rush. And as you can see, Danny Hoekstra has worked his way up to the 7th position. And while we're looking at Danny Hoekstra, let's take a quick look here at the track map. There you can see the start-finish line is on a fairly short straightaway. It's actually not that short. It is a fairly lengthy track at 5.41 kilometers. And we have, I believe they count 12 turns. For some reason, they don't count the chicane that is on the top of your screen there on the map. They don't count that. The layout that we are using today is called the boot because of the extra loop that we are having on the right bottom of that track map. So that's the same. We're running the exact same track as IndyCars would do in real life. So the current ambient temperature is 22 Celsius and the humidity is 55%. We have a partly cloudy sky and no winds to speak of. The track temperature is 39 degrees, and that is something that might hinder the drivers a little bit. A hot track makes for slippery conditions. The track usage has been set to fairly high, so the track should be rubbered in fairly good. And that is the conditions that these guys and gal are dealing with today. All right, and if we are looking at the qualifying order currently, we see that Lubomir Moric is still in the provisional pole position. He has improved his time to 1:29.63, and that was on his last lap. We can go and find him. There you have him. Lubomir is out on track here. Fabio Do Carmo, last time's winner, is out on track, running a 1:29.78 in his last lap. That puts him on the 2nd spot, with Paul Ilbrink in the 3rd spot with a 1:29.84. And those are the 3 drivers that have pushed it underneath that 1:30 mark. And it's Cedric Biel that follows them in 4th position with a 1:30.2. Then it is Sothmari Zabolks, the new Tulip Racing driver, teammate to Danny Hoekstra, who appears to be about 300 of a second quicker than his teammate currently. Danny in 6th position, currently in pit lane. And we have Bruno Canovas, as we speak, taking that 7th position away from Hoekstra. And I believe we have Luke Groom right behind him there. That is the number 37 car. And he is currently in 8th position with a 1:30.62. Patrick Letouvet is in 9th, and it's Dave Guild in 10th with a 1:30.93. We have Cassie Knight in 11th with 1:31.75. Sam Winton with a 1:32.03 in 12th position. And it appears to me that Reinaldo Augusto is struggling a little bit here today. He has not been able to go faster than a 1:33.14, and that is kind of surprising to me because Reinaldo is usually one of the guys that we see up front. And the final time has been posted by Dmitry Bobilev, our second newcomer here today, a 134.48. So I will say that the field is not all that stretched out. Sometimes we see a little bit bigger differences during these races, but it seems to be that everybody comes to grips with Watkins Glen here fairly nicely. Patrick Letouvet going back out, and it looks like Paul Ilbrink is still out there throwing that car through the chicanes here. The curbs on this track are the white curbs that you see there. They are fairly forgiving. There are a few turns that have the old-fashioned higher the curbs from the older times when this track was still running in the 70s and 80s. It had a very high curb. There on the inside here you can see one of those higher curbs from the old days. And the next two turns will have that as well. We can ride along with Ilbrink here, and you'll see that if you look on your right-hand side there, you see one of these older, higher curves, and on the left you see the newer white curves. Once again, here the other way around. Those white curves are pretty forgiving. The only thing you want to watch for is that you don't want to get your wheels over the curb into the grass. That will instantly turn you around. We've seen several drivers do that during practice. All right, the final moments of qualifying are ticking away here. Once the 15 minutes expire, the drivers that are on a lap can finish that lap. And as we are talking and watching Paul Ilbrink, he has pushed himself up into the provisional pole with a 129.55, 500ths of a second quicker than Lubomir Moric. And it's always, we see Paul Ilbrink up in the front of the field most of the time that he's here. Ooh, what a great save he has there. It's going to ruin his lap time, but he does save it. That is pretty good. So that looks like his last lap was the lap that put him on the pole. Let's see who else is still on track. Fabio Do Carmo gets to finish this lap, and it will be counted. We can try to keep an eye on the bottom of the screen there and see if he is improving on himself. And we also still have Cedric Biel on the track. It looks like Cedric had a little moment there coming off the turn. Sam Winton still on track, and he is close to finishing his lap there. Looks like he did improve his last sector there. Fabio Do Carmo is improving his. Sam messes up there. And that's what I'm talking about. Coming off the turns, it is extremely easy to lose the back end of this car. It's a very light, high-powered, and high-downforce racing car. And there we have Do Carmo, their final car on the track, actually posting two fastest sectors as we are looking at him. Currently on his final sector. There might be something coming up here. Do Carmo finishing his lap. And he did indeed improve his time, but not enough to steal that pole position away from Paul Ilbrink. 129.78 keeps him in third position. All right, so we need to wait for iRacing to finish the qualifying, and we'll be going into your race. Once again, here is your track map. Fairly high-speed track with long straight there at the top of your screen towards that double chicane. There's good chance and opportunity of drafting there to get towards that chicane. That would be a good point of overtaking. Some of the turns are mid-speed to high speed, so it's a tricky place. It can be, absolutely. All right, let's go and see your grid here. There you have it, folks. Paul Ilbrink once again on pole position. Then it's Lubomir Moric right alongside him. It is Fabio Do Carmo and Cedric Biel on the second row. Sasmari Zabolks on and Bruno Canovas on the third, Hoekstra and Groom on the fourth row, Guild and Le Touvet on the fifth row, Cassie Knight and Sam Winton on the sixth row, and we have one more row, and that will be occupied by Ronaldo Augusto and Dmitry Bobilev. All right. And we'll be waiting for the start lights. And when the start lights go out, the race is on its way. Standing start as always in the eFormulaSeries, round number 6, 36 laps to go. There you have the entire field looking down here. 14 drivers getting ready to go. Ronaldo Augusto somewhat surprising there in third position. We are waiting on our pole sitter. There he is. That means we are going to see the lights coming up in your screen. When the red lights go out, we will be on our way.
Green flag, green flag.
There we go. The race is on its way with Paul Ilbrink leading the pack towards turn 1. Already diving in front of Moric there. A little bit wide on the asphalt there. That is okay. They are allowed to do that. Paul Ilbrink takes the lead in front of Lubomir Moric. Fabio Do Carmo in third position, already challenging. There you have him towards that chicane, and it is a fairly high-speed entry there. That can throw you offline, what he's doing there. Cedric Beal challenging Moric as well. It looks like Moric has dropped back one position. Cedric Beal all being brought under pressure there from Zabolks. In the second Tulips racing car, it is actually Bruno Canovas there in the 23 that passes Zabolks on the entry as he went a little bit wide, it looked like. And he has now got his teammate Danny Hoekstra behind him. Luke Groom in 8th. Patrick Le Touvet. Well, let's go check on the front here. It is Paul Ilbrink that has taken the lead by 1.5 seconds before we get to the end of the first turn. You see Fabio Do Carmo and Moric behind there with Cedric Beal in 4th. Fabio Do Carmo, last time's winner, currently in 2nd position. Moric, Cedric Beal, Bruno Canovas, Sathmari Zabolks, and Danny Hoekstra. And it looks like Do Carmo and Moric are also stretching out a little bit there. Cedric Beal a little bit further behind, and it's Bruno Canovas that is trying to catch on to Cedric Beal. Then we see Danny Hoekstra being overtaken by Luke Groom. That was purely on the draft, and that means that they are not running similar downforce settings. Luke Groom taking 7th position from Danny Hoekstra. Ooh, we have an incident for Cassie Knight. Let's see what happened to her. That's what I mean. Sometimes under braking you get a little twitchy there in that chicane, and that can ruin your second part of the chicane pretty bad. Hopefully her car is not damaged too bad. It doesn't look too bad. And she continues on in the final spot. And we have a good group of drivers here right behind Luke Groom. That is Danny Hoekstra behind him, Patrick Le Touvet, David Guild, Sam Winton, a little bit further back. Ronaldo Augusto has passed Bobilev. Bobilev running a little bit further back, about 3 seconds back. And Cassie Knight is trying to catch up again after that little incident. And it's still a long race. We have a ways to go, so hopefully she can catch back up. Fabio Do Carmo chasing this man, Paul Ilbrink. There you have Do Carmo and Moric. They are fairly close together here. On the fastest part of the track, you will see that Moric will be able to catch that draft. There you go. Coming around the outside, and they'll be going towards that little chicane there. There you have him. He is passed and taken away the second position from Do Carmo simply on the draft, and that tells you that that's a straightaway is long enough for that. Cassie has brought it to the pits to get some repairs. And meanwhile, Moritz is already pulling away from Do Carmo a little bit. There you have Do Carmo. Cedric Beal is about 3 seconds behind, and he is dealing with Bruno Canovas right behind him. There you're looking back at Bruno Canovas, and you can see those straights are working in favor of the guy behind. The draft is pulling that car towards you a little bit, but then obviously you still got to figure out a way to get past. It is not that easy. Especially these medium speed turns are very, very tricky. There you have him coming down the main straightaway. And it looks like Cassie has quite extensive damage. Hopefully she can get it back on the way. It looks like there's something that has happened to Danny Hoekstra. Let's go and see if we can find out what that was. There is an accident for Danny Hoekstra. Let's bring that back for you once again. Ooh, he just loses the back end mid-turn. And that means the front end is somewhat damaged, although it doesn't look too bad. It does look like he seems to be carrying on without a pit stop. It doesn't look like there's that much damage on that car, so hopefully Danny can find his way once again. We have an incident for Patrick Letouvet. It is in the chicane, and there you see him bouncing over that inside curb a little bit too rough, and luckily he doesn't touch anything. He turns that car back into the right direction. He's lost the position to Danny Hoekstra, and he is back on his way. It is Lubomir Moritz currently running the quickest lap time at 1:30.91. Lubomir is in second position, pursuing Paul Ilbrink, and it does look like that gap between those two is holding fairly steadily at this point. Do Carmo not quite given up. He is in the third position there in the Safina sponsored car, and he is still closely within a second of Lubomir Moritz. Cedric Beal in fourth with Canovas right behind him. Then it is Sathmari Zabolks in the sixth position. Luke Groom fairly close behind him in seventh. David Guild in eighth. Paul Ilbrink, your leader, through the chicane, and as high speed as those two chicanes are, it is pretty much precision that gets. Ooh, we saw a major moment there for Paul Ilbrink, quickly catching that car. Let's bring that back for you. Here he comes through that chicanes, barely taking the curbs to keep that car stable, and look at as he comes off the turn here, he's going to lose that back end. Immediately catches it. That is amazing. That is good stuff. Let's go and check on the pursuers. Lubomir Moritz in second position. He can still look at Paul Ilbrink. The gap has gone down to 1.4 seconds because of Ilbrink's little mishap there that he beautifully caught. Then it's Fabio Do Carmo in the third position. Let's ride along with Fabio here just a little bit, running a little bit wide over the curb here. This is the main straightaway that is going to take us to a fairly medium speed right-hand turn. It is allowed to go on the asphalt runoff area. As long as you don't get on the grass, you will not get an off-track count. These turns are full out, and they bring us onto the straightaway towards the chicanes. And as far back as Do Carmo is, you can see that the draft pulls him towards Moritz. Then it's back to third or fourth gear in these chicanes. It is pretty fast. And then we get a long sweeping right-hander. Ooh, we have an incident, I believe, with Cedric Bill. Let's go and find out what is going on. Oh, Augusto, I believe that is Augusto. No, it's not. Let's bring that back one more time. It is, I believe, Augusto that is right behind him, trying to get to the outside, then cuts into the chicane, and they touch. No, it was not Augusto. It must have been Bruno Canovas. There you have it. It is Bruno Canovas that causes that incident. He pulls out of the draft, wants to go around the outside, but cuts in before he clears Cedric Bill, and I would say that is an offensive foul on the end of Bruno Canovas. He should not have been able to cut off that turn as he turned in. But I'm not the Empire here, so what do I know? He's back on his way right now behind Sam Winton. Meanwhile, we see Patrick Letouvet has gone to pit road. He must have had an incident as well. Let's see if we can bring that back. There we have it. He loses the back end on the exit of the turn. And it looks like he bounces around quite nastily, loses the nose cone of the car. Cassie Knight has not been able to recover from her incident and has left the race. Let's bring you back up to speed here with the leaders. Paul Ilbrink still ahead. He has extended that lead once again to about 1.5 seconds. Lubomir Moric is still in second with Fabio Do Carmo closely in third. Luke Groom has worked his way up to 4th position now. And that is also because of the incident that Cedric Bill had with Canovas. And Cedric Bill is looking in the mirror and seeing Dave Guild in 6th. Augusto has worked his way up through half the field because of all this, and he is currently in 7th position in front of his teammate Bruno Canovas. I believe these guys are teammates. Sam Winton in 9th position has had to let Bruno Canovas go by. Zabolks is in 10th. The new Tulip Racing driver, he is in front of Danny Hoekstra by about 4.3 seconds. Danny trying to make up for his mistake earlier on. Dmitry Bobilev in 12th, and it looks like Patrick Touvet is also either waiting on extensive repairs or he has decided to leave the race. And we have an incident with Luke Groom here. Let's go and see what happens. That is on the exit of that fast, long right-hander after the chicanes. He loses the back end. Luckily doesn't hit anything. Loses quite a bit of track position there. Back into 9th currently. There we have Sam Winton going fairly wide. Let's bring that back for you. He is looking like that car is a major understeering there in that turn, but he does keep it on the road. Good job. And let's go check back on Cedric Biel here in 4th position, still with Dave Guild behind him, coming on to the main straightaway. David Guild pulling towards him just a little bit. Look at that. That's the draft working for Dave. First turn there. Both going wide over the runoff area. That's okay. And then we'll see again if Dave Guild can pick up that draft again. There he comes onto that straightaway. He's going to come to the inside. Ooh, I lost him there. There he is. He can't quite get alongside Cedric Biel. Doesn't try, doesn't force the issue. That is good. A good job by Dave Guild. Paul Ilbrink, 1.6 seconds ahead of Lubomir Moric. He's still in charge, but it's not going as fast as we've seen him do before. The difference with the other drivers is not that quick. Actually, Moric and Ilbrink's last laps were pretty much exactly the same. Fabio Do Carmo still in 3rd. And let's check a little bit further back in the field. Our new friend Dmitry Bobilev in 12th position. Luke Groom in 8th now. He has passed Sam Winton. Bruno Canovas in 7th. There you see the other guys following. Augusto in 6th. Kind of by himself here. Well, let's go check back on Morich in 2nd position. Morich last lap was actually faster than Paul Ilbrink's. Lap 10 of 36, 14 minutes into the race. Ooh, we have somebody there going a little bit wide, and that looked like it was Paul Ilbrink. Let's bring that back for you. He is running a loose car. As you can see, the back end just steps out mid-turn, and that is costing him his advantage here evaporating quickly. We're going to keep an eye on this here. Once again, he looks like he is struggling with the back end of that car. Morich and Ocarmo now right behind Paul. Oh, and he almost touches the tire walls there. Going to the inside to try and avoid those guys picking up the draft. That's why you see them wiggling left to right, trying to break that draft for the guys behind him. He knows he's in trouble. And when he gets it right, he gets it really right. But when he gets it wrong, he sometimes gets it really wrong. Paul Ilbrink defending his position. Ooh, we had an incident, I believe, with David Gild. David Gild has passed. David Gild is past Cedric Beal. Let's see if we can bring that back for you. No, it's too far down. Let's go back up to Paul Ilbrink. It looks like his rear end, his tires might be going away from him a little bit quicker than he expected them to. And that means you can see he's just struggling with that rear end a little bit. Maybe we can see it a little bit if we take this camera angle here. It looks like he's recovered. Here we're coming on to the main straightaway. It looks like he's got stuff under control a little bit better again. Morich and Ocarmo trying to make sure that he cannot lose his concentration for lack of trying of the guys behind him. And it looks like Cedric Beal is once again in front of Dave Gild. Maybe we can find that moment. Nope. Dave Gild back in 5th. Reinaldo Augusto is in 6th. His teammate Bruno Canovas is in 7th. Luke Groom is in 8th. Danny Hoekstra in 10th after his earlier incident, trying to recover. His lap times are fairly quick. He's about a second off the pace as far as the leaders is concerned. And Dmitry Bobilev in 11th position seems to be struggling somewhat, as is Sam Winton has left the race, as has Patrick Letouvet. Paul Ilbrink still in the lead. Ocarmo closing in on Morich. Let's ride along with him. There you have it. On that straightaway, they can catch that draft. Going into lap number 13 of 36. Going over the runoff area. And then it's all out until we get to the chicane. Let's see if Docarmo can pick up that draft from Morich. You can see him inching towards that blue car in front of him. Ilbrink taking a defensive line there. He is in trouble. This is Morich that is closing in on Ilbrink. It seems that every once in a while, Paul is just having an issue with that back end stepping out. And that brings Morich and Docarmo closer. Good fight for the lead here going on. Reinaldo Augusto is passing David Gilt. Let's bring that back for you. On the entry of the chicane, it looks like. No, it's actually where Dave Gilt is trying to defend himself and then makes a mistake in the second part. Back to the leaders here. Ilbrink. Morich behind him. And then Docarmo. Especially because the chicanes and some of the turns are mid to high speed corners, it is not easy to make a pass here, except if you're in that draft on that long straightaway. But if you're side by side going into that chicane, we've seen what happened to Cedric Bill illustrates that the chicane is really a one-lane place. You can't really go side by side through there. It's extremely difficult. We see David Gilt, first one to hit pit road on lap number 14. Here he comes. Obviously, that's going to drop him down the order, but everybody is going to have to make at least one of those pit stops. Paul Ilbrink in the lead, about a half a second on Morich. They are surely giving him a run for his money today. And we see Ilbrink using pretty much all of the track that he can find. Widely over that curb there. And as you can see, even the mud and the grass starts to build up from the guys overdriving those cars a little bit. On the runoff area once again, diving back to the inside, the shortest way around these turns. Docarmo hanging on to third there. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble keeping up with Morich and Ilbrink. Cedric Biel still in fourth position. He is running with Augusto fairly close behind him. There you have Augusto. And this is where we will see Augusto come in a little bit closer. Meanwhile, we have Danny Hoekstra going down pit road for his first and only should be pit stop anyway. He is currently coming out of ninth position. Second driver into the pits. There we have the leading trio. And Morich now closing in, it seems, on Ilbrink. Let's ride along here with him. This is what half a second looks like from their point of view. Very smooth through that last turn. This is where he can pick up a little bit of that draft, inching towards Ilbrink. And it's Docarmo actually taking the quickest lap around this track with a 1:30.829. Docarmo right behind us here. There he is. Can Docarmo do anything here on that straightaway? Once again, all top three drivers are getting closer together here. It is actually Morich that takes away the lead from Ilbrink. Going into the chicane on the draft, Ilbrink thinks the better of it, and it is Moritz that steals the lead from Paul Ilbrink. Fabio Do Carmo right behind him, just having set the quickest lap. Paul Ilbrink under pressure. We can bring that back for you really quickly. There we have him coming towards that chicane. There you have it. He's already ahead and clear of Ilbrink as they enter the chicane. And it looks like Moritz is pulling away slightly. Half a second, pretty much the same as Ilbrink was doing to him. Do Carmo here in third. What can Do Carmo do to close in on Ilbrink? It might be that Paul is just simply struggling with that setup a little bit loose car it looked like. Into the first turn, again over the runoff area. What does Paul have left to get back to Moritz? He might be pulling the same stunt here, going to the inside. And he has got him. Paul Ilbrink steals the lead right back a lap later. That was your moment, Moritz. I am bringing it back here. Very good pass. As you can see, that was purely on the draft. We can bring that back. This is from Paul's perspective, and it looks like Moritz picks that curb there a little bit, loses a little bit of speed. This is Ilbrink on the draft, and he's not quite clear on the entry, but Moritz thinks the better of it, doesn't want to cause a wreck, and gives the position to Paul Ilbrink. And there we see Ilbrink pulling away a little bit again. 0.7 of a second now. Moritz dropping back slightly with Do Carmo still right behind him. There you have it on the right bottom of your screen. The gaps between the drivers fairly even at this point. And we have Cedric Buell heading towards pit lane from 4th position. Lap number 18, pretty much mid-race. He is getting ready for fuel and tires. Let's bring you back here a little bit further down the field where we have Zabolks chasing after Luke Groom for 6th position and closing. Yeah, there he looks like he's trying to stick it underneath there in that long right-hander. Not quite close enough, but he's definitely trying hard. Nose to tail here, Luke Groom and Susmari Zabolks. Zabolks in the 2nd Tulip Racing entry. Trying to intimidate a little bit there. What you see him doing is stepping off the race line to show himself in the mirrors and making sure that Luke Groom is watching those mirrors and making sure that Luke Groom is getting a little nervous about that guy in the mirrors. That is what we do on the racetrack, to try and intimidate and force your opponent into a little mistake. Oh, it looks like Luke Groom is he's heading for pit lane as Susmari was right on his tail there on the exit of that turn. Luke diving into the pits for his service. Let's bring you back up to speed here at the front. 0.7 of a second is what Ilbrink has on Moritz. There you have them, the three leading cars. Bobby left into the pits, ready for his service. And it looks like things have settled down a little bit here at the front. Lap number 19. It'll be interesting to see how this all is going to be affected by pit stops. Ilbrink still in the lead, 7/10 of a second on Lubomir. Then it's Fabio Do Carmo in third position. And he is about, 5/10 of a second behind Moric, as we see a Bobby left coming out of the pits. It looked like Do Carmo had to go a little bit wide there. Let's bring that back for you. Here they're coming into turn one, and watch for a car coming off pit road. There you have it. No, it was not that car at all that caused Do Carmo to go wide. I apologize to Bobby Lev. He didn't do anything wrong. Ooh, Ilbrink once again in trouble. Let's see if we can bring that back. Oh my gosh, what a save. We've seen him do that in practice and qualifying, and he does it again in the race, but he holds on to it. Unbelievable. Lubomir Moric in second position with Do Carmo right on his tail now. There's Do Carmo. These guys are working really, really hard on each other. Paul Ilbrink, he's hanging on, but it's not easy today. Wide over the curb once again. Grass building up on the outside line there. And once again, 8/10 of a second ahead of Moric on the line. Moric inching towards him on the draft. First turn, wide over the runoff area. And this is the battle in the race, for sure. Do Carmo not close enough to Moric to be doing anything meaningful here. Reinaldo Augusto in fourth position, setting a personal best. Cedric Beal currently in seventh all by himself. He has already made his pit stops. He is the first of the drivers that has made the pit stops. David Gild in eighth. Danny Hoekstra currently in 10th. And we have three drivers that have left the race with issues of damage. Cassie Knight, we saw her go off there, and evidently the damage was more extensive than we first saw. Letouvet turned it around, lost his nose cone, and obviously his damage was more than he could handle to drive it. And Sam Winton, same thing. Paul Ilbrink, we've seen him get into trouble every once in a while. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there once again. I will tell you, it amazes me how good he is and how quick he is with saving that car. It's almost like he knows what's happening before it's happening. And that may sound silly, but that is actually what makes fast drivers fast. I've seen an interview with Michael Schumacher and Hakkinen once, and that's basically what they say when they try to explain. You know, they can almost instinctively predict what's going on. This time he's getting it right there on the exit of the long right-hander. Doing an awesome job here at Watkins Glen. Paul Ilbrink from the Netherlands, the Radicals Online racer, followed by Lubomir Moric. There is Lubomir, and behind him it's Fabio Do Carmo in third spot. It looks like Ilbrink has got stuff fairly under control right now, but he's had his moments. We've seen them. This isn't over yet. Lap 22 of 36. There we see Moritz going into the pits. Let's see if we can catch that real quick. There comes Lubomir Moritz. The pit stops for the leading drivers have begun, and it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. They have a speed limiter on the steering wheel that they push to make sure that they don't drive too fast in the pit lane. But obviously the pit lane entry is a little bit tricky coming off a fast right-hand turn. Lubomir in the pits for his service. And he is back out already. There we go. And then on cold tires, obviously he needs to be a little bit careful. He's been passed by a Ronaldo Augusto. Paul Ilbrink now with a little bit more breathing room. Fabio Do Carmo in second position. Moritz closely following Augusto. And Augusto didn't have the qualifying he had hoped for, but he sure is having the race he is hoping for. In fourth position, and now in third, while because of Moritz's pit stop, but he's doing all right. It seems to be like he has found his mojo here. Ooh, we have Paul Ilbrink going down pit road. There you can hear the pit lane speed limiter at work. And it's a long pit road when you're racing at top speed of these tracks. It's a long pit road. The first pit stall is his. Car off the ground, tires and fuel. Paul Ilbrink. And let's see if he can keep it in front of Moritz. He should be able to. He should be able to, and Moritz is actually about 3 seconds behind Ilbrink now. Ilbrink will have to warm up his tires, but the pit stops have extended that difference between Ilbrink and Moritz. Do Carmo now in the lead. Obviously, he will still have to stop. Augusto has been in the pits. Canovas has been in the pits. Zabolks is coming into the pits, getting his service. And on the front end of the field, that means that Do Carmo is still the only driver that needs to pit. And actually, he is the only driver that still needs to pit because Winton, Letouvet, and Knight have left the race. Augusto in trouble in the chicane. Let's bring that back real quick for you. There you have him coming at the chicane. A little bit rough over the first curb, and then he misses his apex in the second chicane. Luckily, he doesn't turn it around. He gets on his way without major problems. Fabio Do Carmo on pit road. And now we're going to have to be watching for Paul Ilbrink. Paul coming down the main straightaway. Fabio leaving pit road, and Paul has passed. And let's see what the difference is. There we have Do Carmo coming out of the pits with a deficit of 0.6 of a second on Paul Ilbrink. So Moritz has lost the most. Do Carmo is right back where he was before, which is right on the tail end of Paul Ilbrink. Both on fresh tires now. Of course, Do Carmo will have to watch to warm those tires up good first. That will probably take about a lap or so, and then he can get back at it to continue where he left off. I'm telling you, this is so far, I think, one of the better races, the better fights for the leads that we've had this season. Fabio Do Carmo in pursuit. Oh, going wide. He loses it. Oh, my gosh. Fabio Do Carmo loses the car. Let's bring that back for you and see what happens there. He loses it on the grass. Can't keep the nose going forward into the barrier. And that was all she wrote. That is so unfortunate, and that tells you that Fabio was trying really, really, really hard. He is back on his way. Let's see what he does. He doesn't have a nose cone anymore. The car doesn't look like it's running straight. He is going to bring it back to pit road for sure. Meanwhile, it is Paul Ilbrink that improves the best lap time of the race with a 1:30.514. Moritz is not that far behind. And it's Do Carmo that has to bring it into the pits. What an unfortunate turn of events. Look at the steering wheel being crooked. That damage is beyond just the nose cone. That is suspension and steering damage that will be lengthy to fix on these cars. And it would not surprise me if we see Fabio standing still here for an extended period of time. There we go on board with Paul Ilbrink. The pressure has been gone. It is Paul that has a 3.7 second advantage. Ooh, also very wide off that turn. Ilbrink has a 3.8 second advantage over Lubomir Moritz. The pressure is off his shoulders. We have 11 laps to go in this race. Do Carmo on pit road. And I would be surprised if he would be able to go back out. And if he does, it'll be a while before he gets there. You can see the driver has left the car, and that is usually not a good sign. Paul Ilbrink, your leader. Lubomir Moritz. And then behind Lubomir, we see the back marker that is Bobilev, and it is Augusto that is in third. He is almost 30 seconds down from Moritz. And his teammate Canovas is about 2.2 seconds behind him. There you have him. And Cedric Biel is in fifth position, about 1.3 seconds behind Canovas and Augusta, the two teammates. There you have him. That is Cedric Biel, and those two disappearing in the distance are the teammates. Then we have Zasmari Zabolks coming on the main straightaway here, currently in sixth position. He has Luke Groom behind him by about a second and a half. Then we go further 7 seconds, and we see Dave Guild coming on the main straightaway in the number 98 car. Then it is Danny Hoekstra in hot pursuit, 3.5 seconds behind Guild. And the final running car currently is Dmitry Bobilev, and he is already a lap down. But he's hanging on. It is his first race, I believe, so it takes a bit to get used to this stuff. Like I said, these Formula Renault 3.5 machines are not easy to drive. Let's go check on Cedric Biel and his pursuit there. Oh, we have an incident for Danny Hoekstra once again in the chicane. Let's go and bring that back for you. Fast entry. Oh, he loses the back end turning into the second part. He saves it beautifully. He gets back on his way. He is down in 9th position currently, but at least he is still running, and he has no damage to speak of, or that I can tell anyway, on his car. Although bouncing over those curbs with the bottom could hurt the bottom and could hurt the airflow underneath the car a little bit. Let's bring you back up to speed here with your leader, Paul Ilbrink, running laps of just under 1:31, and he is currently the quickest driver on the track. Lubomir Moritz, 4.6 seconds behind now. Oh, and Ilbrink is still going pretty wide at that turn where we saw Do Carmo go off. And we can try and see if we can find Do Carmo if he is still around. Nope, he is not around. Let's see if he decided to, yeah, he has left the race. Unfortunately, that is it for him. Unfortunate mistake. But that's the kind of thing that happens if you're running on the edge trying to follow the leaders. And and I can't say this enough, folks. I've driven these cars myself, and it is not easy. The hardest part is probably to find a setup and a good balance that will last you throughout the tire wear and the weight change, because you're burning off so much fuel. And the track obviously doesn't stay the same all the time either. The sun is still shining, the track gets rubbered in, the conditions change slightly, and you have to be able to set your car up in a way that you can handle that comfortably and be fast. And as Mario Andretti once said in Indy cars, if you're really comfortable, you're not fast. So that kind of tells you how that's... Oh, Ilbrink almost doing the same thing there. Mario's quote is kind of indicative of how this stuff works. If you are comfortable, you're not fast. And if you're fast, you're not comfortable. And that means that you have the possibility of mistakes creeping in there. And we've seen Paul make a few, and we've seen it before in earlier races. And this time it was Do Carmo that unfortunately couldn't keep that nose in the right direction. But that's how it works. And once again, it is really the top guys that seem to be able to almost predict what's going to happen. They feel it in their bones. They feel it in their hands. I don't know how to tell you this, but what makes a guy fast is the ability to almost be able to predict what's happening. And I believe that Paul Ilbrink is one of those guys. And actually, there has been research on that that they've tried to do, and it's extremely difficult. But yeah, you have to have lightning reflexes, and you know, a lot of drivers go through training for those reflexes. You know, with boards of light that where they have to push buttons or do certain actions. And a lot of the top drivers in the real world and are actually doing exercises like that to maintain and improve their responses. Now, and the one thing that simulated racing is different in towards real life racing, obviously, is that not every driver has the money to invest in a moving seat that helps him feel the car in his body. Most of us are just driving with force feedback steering wheels and the best pedals we can find that are that have a realistic feel to them. But of course, most of us miss that feedback that the car gives you through the seat, as real life drivers have. So with that in mind, I am always flabbergasted by reaction times of Paul Ilbrink style drivers when they are on the top of their game and they catch cars where you're thinking, man, how do they do it? Ilbrink going through here in I guess we call it the bus stop chicane. Let's go check on your second place driver here, Lubomir Moric. He is now 3.6 seconds behind Paul Ilbrink. He is running about as fast as Paul, but that means he's not closing in on him. They're both running 31.3s at this point. And let's go check on Reinaldo Augusto. Once again, his qualifying didn't really look all that great, but his race is looking all the better. And then a little bit further back, we have his teammate, Bruno Canovas, and it does look like Cedric Beal seems to be closing in a little bit on Bruno. Some of the guys are just taking that turn pretty wide. You can see the tracks in the grass, and that's where Fabio got caught out. And we see Luke Groom has caught up with Zabolks. 6th and 7th position. Dmitry Babilev currently posting his personal best, a 133.2. Danny Hoekstra is in front of him in 9th position. back on Cedric. And let's check back on Luke here, following closely behind Zabolks. We can ride along with him here for a little bit. And you can see that Zabolks is paying attention. He's already trying to make different moves to break that draft for the American behind him. He knows that Luke is close enough to catch on that draft. As we come down the S's here and onto the straightaway, you can see that Luke Groom is closing in rapidly, going to the outside. Zabolks has taken the defensive line. Luke Groom is in front of him already. There we go into the chicane, takes away the position from Zabolks. He is now in 6th position. Good move. And that's you saw there, what you saw there was a prime example of how it works here at Watkins Glen. A good entry off turn 1, full out all the way towards the chicane, and then use the draft to get alongside and get in front. And what is interesting is that obviously Zabolks, if he runs a good lap and stays close enough behind Luke Groom, he could pull the exact same thing. First car catches the wind, second car goes faster. That's how it works. Differences between the drivers are extending. Cedric Beal does not seem to be closing in much on Bruno Canovas, so let's stay here with Zabolks and Luke Groom. Back onto the main straightaway. And it looks like Zabolks is in the draft there. He's actually closer than Luke was on him last lap. So what he needs now is a good entry off this turn, and he should be close enough to have the advantage. You already see him crawling towards Luke there. He's going to go on the outside before they even get out of the S's. There you have it, side by side. He's not clear. Yes, he is. He dives into the bus stop chicane and takes back the position. Both drivers pulled the same move on each other here. And now it's once again a Luke Groom's job to make sure he stays right behind that rear wing of the Tulip Racing car. Looks like Bruno Canovas is in fact coming under a little bit of pressure of Cedric Beal. That is for the 5th and 6th position. 4th and 5th position. So these two. Oh, Cedric Beal gets it wrong. He turns it around, doesn't want to go through pit lane. Let's bring back what happened here. The final turn. Cedric Beal. He hits that inside curb a little bit too hard, it looks like, loses the back end, almost catches it, but he can't steer it hard enough into the slide, and he has to turn it around, loses. Well, he doesn't even lose the position. He's actually still in 5th. He had enough on Zabolks. Let's go bring it back there, because Luke Groom is right behind his opponent once again. Now he's not close enough, Mo. He's actually thinking the better of it. He would have not made it clear past Zabolks in this instance. So he's thinking the better of it. That is good driving. And it looks like he's having a bit of an issue fighting that car a little bit there on the exit of the turn, losing a little bit of ground to Sasmari. There you have him. Bruno Canovas now, no more pressure from behind. He is probably going to try to catch up with his teammate, Reinaldo Augusto. There is Reinaldo. Ooh, throws up a little bit of dust there. Luke Groom gaining on Zabolks once again. And Zabolks is gaining on Cedric Beal. Where are they at? Here is Beal. No, I read that wrong. I apologize. It's Luke Groom that is gaining a little bit on the bulks, but he is not close enough right now. And meanwhile, we still have Paul Ilbrink in the lead, coming back onto the main straightaway. He's going to get the white flag as we pass the flag stand here. Paul Ilbrink is going to add another win to his resume. That would be his, I believe, third this season. I'm not sure. I believe actually it would be his fourth. But I wouldn't bet my life on it right now. Lubomir Moric in second position, a little under 3 seconds behind. There he is. That is not going to be enough. That is not a gap that he is going to be closing on this final lap. Paul Ilbrink. And what always amazes me about Paul is, you know, he's got the lead. He's on the last lap, but he's not slowing down. His last lap was a 30.4, 130.4, and that is only a tenth of a second slower than his best lap. And as you look at him here, you could even hear the tires screech a little bit, and he is just not letting up. And that sometimes drivers don't like that, because letting up means that they lose concentration. There we have it. Paul Ilbrink brings it across the finish line in front of Lubomir Moric, your first and second place finisher right here in one shot. Then we wait for Reinaldo Augusto, who is 33 seconds down from these two guys, but he worked his way up from the last starting position, I believe, or next to last, I'm not sure. We have an incident for Dave Guild here on that last lap. Let's see if we can bring that back real quick. It's in the chicane. He bounces over the curbs. Oh, and he is lucky not to touch anything or anybody. Augusto on his way to the final stretch here. There he comes, Reinaldo Augusto. Then it is Bruno Canovas, his teammate, in fourth. And then we wait for Cedric Biel. Not completely an incident-free race for him, but he brings it home in fifth position. And then we wait for the new Tulip Racing driver, Sathmari Zabolks. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. He's happy with the sixth position, it looks like. There he is. And then we wait for Luke Groom, the American, seventh position. And he has Danny Hoekstra close behind. But Danny is not close enough to really make anything happen here. Seventh place for Luke Groom, eighth place for Danny Hoekstra. Then we have David Guild coming across the line here. And Dmitry Babilev finishes his first race here in the eFormulaSeries. Looks like he has a little bit of damage on that right front wing. But good job for all these drivers. We've seen an amazing fight here for the lead. Unfortunately, it went wrong for Fabio Do Carmo, but hey, that's just part of the racing. Let's bring up your results here. Drivers will be coming down to the finish line here and park their cars. Let's give you that moment. Paul Ilbrink, your race winner. And then we are waiting for Augusto and Moric. Oops, wrong one. That's the one I was looking for. Let's go find these guys. Paul, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me? Hey, Paul, this is Mark in the booth. Can you hear me?
I can.
Congratulations once again, my friend, but it wasn't as easy as the last time you won a race, was it?
No, like I think the previous race that I didn't die, I did it a bit clean, so I thought let's spice it up again and make it a bit close. So Yeah.
Yeah, man, I gotta tell you, it was a great fight to watch for us, absolutely. And you amazed me a couple of times with the saves coming off that long right hander at the bottom of the track at the back end there. I don't know if you, right after the chicanes, I believe you had similar instant in qualifying, and I believe you had it twice during the race. I tell me how you catch it, dude, because that's amazing.
Quick hands and feet, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that was a bit of a tricky corner, like especially on like new tires. It was, and in qualifying especially, it was like relatively easy to just like keep full throttle around the corner. But once the tires wore off a little bit, if you went a bit like too tight on too much steering inputs and too much throttle, it could all of a sudden feel really loose in the rear. So yeah, that woke me up a couple times. So after that, I tried to do it like a little bit easier. Like you don't even lose that much time with it anyway. But yeah, that was good enough for me to wake me up.
Yeah, I believe that first instant, it cost you like, I don't know, 4/10 of a second. You're right, it doesn't cost you that much. Well, however, what I wanted to ask you is, before that happened in that turn, and that's a fairly high speed turn, obviously. I've seen you been have little wiggles, being a little bit loose here and there. Was that a setup thing, do you believe, or was it the high temperature that caught you off guard a little bit?
It was probably the lack of laps around this track. Like I didn't do any laps before I joined practice for this one. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the setup could have been a bit better, but overall it was like quite stable-ish and predictable enough at least. So yeah, it was just the poor driving from me, I guess. And I wanted to apologize for that one time that I nearly died and did it all just in front of Lubomir. Like I'm sorry that he had to slow down because of that, but I'm happy that he like managed to react in time, because I think it could have taken us both out if he wasn't as good on his reactions there.
I understand. Well, let's face it. Fabio Di Carmo had his moment that took him out. You guys are racing really, really hard for the win, and you are racing on the limit. That stuff does happen, and I mean, yeah, the guy behind you, if he wouldn't be able to avoid that, I mean, that's just part of the racing, don't you believe?
Well, it's the kind of mistakes that you shouldn't be making as a leader. So it's not like that you can like predict if you're driving close behind each other. Like you have a limited view already, and you shouldn't have to also be able to handle the car in front of you nearly spinning. So yeah, that was on me. Like that's not something the second car can do much about.
Well, let's finish that up by saying, hey man, you can be great at something, but you're still human and you make mistakes.
Yeah. But we'll see how we do it next time.
All right, Paul. Once again, congratulations, my friend. Any love yous you want to throw out there here before we go?
Sure. For my teammates at Radicals Online and our partners sponsored Armor Centrum, Cranfield Simulation, Track Racer, Joel Real Timing Turn Racing, MOATF Podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust.
Thank you very much, Paul. Lubomir, second position. Happy?
Hello, good evening. Indeed, very happy on such a difficult condition. Quite high track temperatures, high usage of the track, and very fast and difficult corners in here. So basically, you are fighting all the time with the tires, with the weather, with the temperature, and of course with the pole all the time. So congrats to him as well. Very, very good result.
You stuck with Paul for quite some time there in the beginning, sir. You even took the lead there for a lap. I mean, you had the pace.
Yes. Well, the strategy was quite easy. Squeeze as much from the tires as you can, catch Paul, and then have some fun together. Put him into a pressure a bit, which we actually, I think, managed together. And yeah, Paul has some his nice moments there. Unfortunately for us, he was still able to keep the car on the shiny part up. So
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was just telling me. I don't know if you heard him say that, but he had one moment where he was afraid that you would not be able to avoid him, which was in that fast right-hander at the top of the track there, that long one, where he came off and went sideways, caught it, but he was a little bit worried that you wouldn't be able to see that in time. Did you have any trouble there?
Well, of course, it was quite a close call, especially when we were running in a pack together. So it was not just my reaction which saved the day. Uh, we saw a bit of the tire smoke there before everything happened, so we were quite prepared. And yeah, fortunately, we managed to avoid.
So when you made your pit stop, I believe at that point you were in third, and when you came back, you had your deficit towards Paul had increased a little bit. What did something go wrong on the pit stop, or were you maybe a little overcautious?
Well, surely I was cautious in that because you rather lose 1 second entering the pit rather than losing a race there. As the pit entry is not so long, you need to be very precise entering it. I think I was like zero point 0.7 behind Paul when I decided to pit, and I was 3 seconds behind after Paul's pit stop. So I think my cautious plus Paul's engineers were very good. So they did a really good job on his car. So he was very fast there.
Absolutely. All right, Lubomir. Well, once again, my friend, congratulations on a very good finish. You drove your you drove the wheels off that car, man. Both of you and Fabio Do Carmo as well. Unfortunately, he messed up at some point, but it was good fun to watch until Fabio went out. It was a really close battle, and it looked like you all had a chance of bringing this to the top of the rostrum here. So congratulations on that. Anybody you want to throw some love yous out to?
Yeah, as usual, my team Positive Sim Racing and sponsors Joel Real Timing, Silvan Dashboard, Modom, and Studio 3T. And as usual, Yumar for the commentary and all the organizers of the eFormula series. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lubomir. All right, folks, there you have it. Unfortunately, Ronaldo Augusto, I can't find him here in the room, so I can't ask him about his perspective. He finished it in third. He qualified in the back of the pack there, which was a little bit surprising to me, as I told you as it happened, and I was hoping to talk to him about how that happened and how his race improved on that. So Reinaldo Augusto, unfortunately, not here. We do have one more driver here, and that is Danny Hoekstra. Let's bring him in. Danny, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
What happened, sir?
Do you really want to know?
Well, I mean, you qualified in the mid pack there. It looked like you had stuff fairly good under control. I know that you didn't expect to be right on on the first row or anything like that, but it looked like you had things pretty much under control. And I believe it. I don't know what lap it was, but it was fairly early on where you went off. What can you do? You remember what happened?
Yeah, I was like very close to about 3 or 4 drivers in front of me, and it was like a little train. And we went to turn 10, like the fast left-hander, and for some reason my car spun, even though I thought I already kind of was a bit more curious for understeer. So, but the car just broke out on me, like the rear end, and I hit the wall slightly. And I thought I had damage, but I didn't. But of course, yeah, I was driving at the back, so I had to make up a lot of ground. So I tried to push really hard and improve the lap times to be able to catch back up and have a good race. And in my journey, I made a little mistake again, and I broke the front wing. But that was at a point that I could go to the pits without having to pit again. So that wasn't a big deal, but it cost me a couple seconds again. So therefore I lost connection again, and I had to push after my pit stop again to catch back up. And I knew I was taking the risk of making mistakes by doing that, but I had to if I wanted to make up any ground. And unfortunately, I made a little mistake, like at the end of the race, a couple laps before the end. And I think if I would not have made that mistake, I would probably be able to finish in front of Luke Groom instead of 0.7 behind him. But well done to him.
Absolutely, Luke drove a strong race, I believe. He worked his way up forward a little bit, I believe. So and he held steady. So yeah. Well, all right, Danny. It is what it is what we say here in the United States. Sometimes too much, but that's what it is. Unfortunately, or fortunately, you could continue after your spin and didn't have any major damage that would drop you out. Still an 8th position on the finish. That's not all that bad. So congratulations to that. Any love yous you want to throw out there?
Yeah, well, thanks to you, of course, for doing the broadcast every race. Thanks to all the drivers that were here again. Thanks to my dad for being my race engineer, some sort of speak. He really helps me out with spotting during the race and in the preparation. I know, I mean, P6 was probably the best I could get, so having a P8, I'm really glad with that. It is a tricky track. It is a fun one, but it's tricky in this car, so let's head back up to the next race and hope we have more drivers on the grid.
All right, Denny. Thanks very much.
Yep, thanks.
All right, folks, that'll do it for the eFormula Series, the 6th round in the series here at Watkins Glen. Once again, Paul Ilbrink, Lubomir Moric, and Reinaldo Augusto, your top 3 finishers. Unfortunately, I couldn't talk to Reinaldo for you to get his perspective on this race. We heard from Paul. It wasn't easy. The track temperature seemed to be a little bit bothersome. We predicted that early on in the broadcast, but he brought it home. He caught a couple of mistakes with lightning fast responses. I'm still impressed by that, no matter what. And Lubomir has brought it home in second. One man definitely to mention is Fabio Do Carmo, winner 2 weeks ago. A very strong outing here until a slight mistake and just one wheel a little bit too far in the grass caught him out. Very unfortunate, but you know that's part of the game. Obviously, you don't want to make the mistakes. You want to be as perfect as you can be, but like I said, we're all human. Shout out to the newcomers, Dmitry Bobilev and Cassie Knight, for trying. Everybody that arrives at the start of the race gets at least 1 point for trying. The winner makes 20 points. The second place gets 16. The third gets 14. So next week we will update you on the championship standings. I'm sorry, not next week. 2 weeks from today. We're going to be going to the Monza Grand Prix track in Italy. One of the faster tracks in the Formula One circus, obviously, and I'm sure that'll be a track that a lot of these drivers like. Also a track with a lot of history. And that's where we're going to be doing the penultimate round of the series. And then 2 weeks after that, we're going to finish things up here at the first season of the eFormula Series in Francorchamps. Another classic track that everybody loves to be racing on. So we hope to see you for both these races. We hope that all the other drivers come back and play with us once again. My name is Mark. This is Short Shift Broadcasting. We hope to see you in Monza in 2 weeks' time. Stay safe out there and be kind to one another.
Do you have big balls? No downforce. No data collection. No push to pass. No slick tires. No ABS or traction control. No grip. Will you strap yourself in a metal tub with 500 horsepower?
hanging on for dear life. 500 miles, over 200 miles an hour, inches from an unforgiving concrete wall. Do you have big balls?